during this very challenging time where we had to be forced to be separate from our friends and our colleagues, I was really grateful for this Anchor app, which has allowed me to continue the podcast after almost 1 year of working on it. It's free. You simply go to anchor.fm and download the app. And there you'll find all the tools that you need to record and edit your podcast, as well as to invite people onto your podcast through the app. Anchor also distributes the podcast for you on Apple, Spotify, and many other platforms. You have absolutely nothing to do except to record your podcast. If you have an ad like this, you can also make money. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. I would recommend it for anyone who wants to get their voice out there, has something to contribute. Go for it. Anchor.fm is where you go to download the free app and to get started. Good luck with your podcast. Hi, and thanks for joining us on a new episode of the Bees and Honey podcast. Today we're speaking with Matt Nuccio. I think the Italians would pronounce it Nuccio, but he's in America, so they pronounce it Nuccio. And he's one of the leading figures in the toy world. In addition to his design work, he also does a lot of sketching and painting of his own. And he has an upcoming exhibition with the Toy Fair next year, 2021. So listen in as he talks about his creative process and gives us some background info on the toy industry. Hi, Matt.
Hello, how are you?
Good, I'm good. So I hope you got your comfy chair now.
Yes, I am very comfortable at the moment, so this will work out well.
Perfect. So tell me again what you've been up to, because I was asking you in terms of music, art, design, and you mentioned something about Houdini. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a totally random thing. So as you are aware, we are a toy development company, which means we have, we cast a lot of things in resin and whatnot. So one of my clients owns a toy company in the city, but they also own the Houdini Museum. And they needed me to do a cast of Houdini's grave bust, which is not the original grave bust, but the one that was there in until it was stolen in 1974 and recovered in 1983 by the New York Police Department. And then he has that grave bust in the museum. So he asked me if I could cast it. So I did, but then I made an extra cast for myself. And I just spray painted it totally as if it's been completely vandalized and with all bright colors and whatnot. And it's now sitting in my apartment.
Oh, very, very cool. So is that going to be part of the Halloween decorations?
Perhaps, yeah. It is a cool piece. It's for sure. I mean, it's his actual grave. Well, it's a cast of his actual grave bust. It's sat on, so it's a little creepy. And Houdini, didn't believe in the afterlife. I don't know how much you know about him, but he was big into debunking all of that. He was actually almost killed a handful of times by spiritualists who were getting irritated that he was debunking their tricks. So it's a whole podcast unto itself. So we'll skirt that. But that was my morning. So I woke up and I rattled around a few cans of Krylon and spray painted some Houdini busts, and then followed by that was meetings with Hasbro working on some Monopoly and Clue items, which I can't get too far into.
Yeah.
Some fun variations of those which we're working on. And then music. I haven't really played music just yet, but it's early enough. It's Friday. I'll get home. I'll play something.
Okay, good. And recently you mentioned the toy world and the art world would be coinciding in an exhibition that you've been invited to do. You want to tell us a little bit about it and how the exhibition came about and what you'll be doing for that?
Sure. So the Toy Association, which is the trade association for the toy industry, holds every year the New York Toy Fair, which is the largest show in the United States. Not the largest toy show in the world. That's actually in Nuremberg, Germany. but the largest toy show in the U.S. is the New York Toy Fair, which is held at Jacob Javits Center. And last year they started doing they did a small art exhibition of some photographer who had done some fun stuff with some action figures. It was a cute show. It was well done, but that had some good success. But there were smaller pieces, and the toy industry they do these shows to also raise money for for children's causes. So and then the woman who runs those shows, she follows me on Instagram, and she had noticed painting that I had done of the Ideal Toys factory logo, Ideal Toys logo. And then she messaged me to find out where I got it, and I was like, I got it from my head. I made it.
And my hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just did that. Yes. And then she's like, wow, do you have any other? And then she she obviously knows me as a toy designer. That's what I'm known for. But then she wanted to see some of my other work, and she's like, wow, we should do this year's show will highlight me. She wanted to do the show because I do big. My work's relatively large.
Right.
Sketchbooks, of course, but so we were supposed to happen in February at the Javits Center, but the show looks like it's being pushed back now to, I believe, it's like May or June. So it'll be at the Javits Center. It's a solo show in part of the New York Toy Fair.
Okay, so that means because I remember you mentioned it before that it's very private, the toy fair. All these trade secrets are kept under wraps, so they're very tight about who they allow in. So I guess it will only be for the toy industry to see the exhibition. Is that correct?
Well, the exhibition actually is in the lobby of the Jacob Javits Center. So if you're familiar with the Jacob Javits Center, above the food court main level, there's sort of I guess it's a balcony of sorts. It's fairly so the exhibition would be there. So it's not, you don't have to have a badge to get into that section. So it's in the lobby of the Javits Center. So that part you can get into.
Perfect. So everyone can go see it if they want to.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So tell me how this whole pandemic, you just said the fair has been pushed back, I guess, from February 2021 to May or June 2021.
Yeah, it is like the whole world's in a weird situation. The toy industry was off to a rocky start in 2020 to begin with. So there's a bunch there's a bunch of trade shows around the world. And every year the trade show season starts with the Hong Kong Toy Show, which starts a few days after New Year's. But this 2020, by the time that was coming around, a lot of people were canceling their trips because of not because of the pandemic, because that hadn't quite, been big news. Yeah, it was the protests that were going on in Hong Kong that were scaring everyone. A few weeks or earlier than that, the rioters, clashed against the police, and the students were trapped in the university over there, and there were, cars were on fire and windows were being smashed, and all that.
Right.
The Polytech, which is where that happens, is right in the center of the toy district of Hong Kong. So a lot of people canceled that trip. So next thing you know, we're like, okay, well, it's the first time I've missed the Hong Kong Toy Show in 20 years.
Wow.
Right. And I look forward to that show because, I lived in Hong Kong for a while, and I have a lot of friends in Hong Kong, and we've had offices there, and it's a great city. It's part of my routine. But so that got canceled. So next show after that is the Nuremberg show, which is the largest toy show in the world. The New York Toy Show, which is all of Javits, that's encompassing the entire of Javits, is 1/10 the size of the Nuremberg show. That's a
wow.
Right.
Wow.
So, but at that show, when we arrived for that, which was at the end of January, everyone was already COVID was sort of bubbling up. People were like, oh no, like this is a little freaky. But we were still hopping on planes and going. But I remember going through the China Pavilion in Nuremberg. They have their own hall. It's not even a pavilion. It's the China Hall. And nobody was there. Like no Westerners were there at all. they were all scared to catch COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a little nerve wracking. I remember I had to cut. I accidentally found myself in it because I was just like turning corners, and I myself was like pulling my shirt over my face to sort of run through it as quick as I could. And the weird thing is, at the time, I felt like I'm like, I look so racist right now. Like I don't know why.
Right.
Luckily though, I squint pretty heavy. A lot of people think I'm half Asian, so.
Yes, you definitely could pass for Asian, like your boys.
Yes.
It's funny.
Well, they are half Asian, so they can definitely pull that off.
Yes.
So, but
And so tell.
I
Mhm.
was going to say, so then that happened. Then New York Toy Fair happened, and then that was it. No more shows. Like New York Toy Fair was the last show at Javits in 20.
Right.
So it's been crazy.
And tell me about the music, because I know you had the band, and I guess you guys haven't been meeting regularly anymore.
Yeah, that's been really, really difficult. So yeah, so the band, it's pretty much, I guess we could say we're defunct at this point because all this went down and we stopped playing, and obviously there's no places to play, and we would play all throughout Manhattan, and we love to play the bitter end.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's going to be no longer if it isn't already closed down. I know there was a big issue there, and all these live music venues. I mean, it's horrible. No one's going out to see live shows, and I feel like a lot of those bars were only doing live music because they were struggling to begin with. It was a way to bring people in.
Right.
Yeah, and then after that, we're like, yeah, we could still jam together. Now we're starting to think about doing that. And then my drummer up and tells me that he's moving to Los Angeles. So
Yeah, because he wants to have some more sun and some more fresh
right,
air.
or at least breathe in some ash from whatever fire. 20.
Oh God. I mean, it's if we there's nowhere to go without something like really horrible in our midst. It's
Yes.
the yeah.
We're living in the rapture. Yes.
The, well, it's so funny because I have a friend from the South, and he every time I see him, he asks me where can I go for live music. I'm like, dude, you moved to New York at the time where there's no live music at all, hardly.
Yeah. It's hard. What do you?
Yeah.
New York is so. I mean, you're there. It's ghost
Mhm.
town. It's parts of New York are scary. Have you walked over by Penn Station at all? Jeez.
Yeah, I was there, I think, a few weeks ago. I mean, during the day, of course. I'm not going out much at night and certainly not walking around much. I mean, just my neighborhood. But I mean, there's stuff happening. I've been out with friends in New York as well. I mean, nothing like a live performance, but other things. People meet with their friends nonetheless.
Yes, this is true. I mean, we met for drinks a few weeks back. Yeah, I mean, you can. The small gathering still sort of works.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, these social clubs that have their members and their tracking or whatever it is they do to keep tag of who's in there. But getting back to the toy business, tell us about the awards that you guys are nominated for, the Tagi Awards, I guess it's
Yes, we're
called.
nominated for
Yeah.
2 Tagi Awards this year, which is Toy and Games of the Year, which is sort of our Oscar or Academy Award or whichever one you want to choose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we got nominated for 2 of those this year. The Taggies usually that takes place in Chicago every single year, and the the entire industry comes together, and it's a black tie event. We sit down, and there's a stage, there's a big production, just like the Academy Awards, and it's over a few hours. And last year we got nominated for our first, which was great. We did not win. This year though, we got nominated for 2, which was a good feeling. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm excited about that. So we're one was just simply for being nominated for being like supplier of the year, like a vendor, just being like a top notch design studio that we nice to be
Mm-hmm.
recognized just for that alone. And then the other one is for a product that we did with Fisher Price, which is a Gotham City pop up playset for Batman for their Imagine X line.
Nice. So this is going to be virtual, I guess. There's no Chicago happening right now, I
Right.
imagine.
So if you're if listeners out there are interested, they should go to check it out. Originally was called the Chicago Toy and Game Group, which but this, like about 2 months ago, they finally rebranded themselves because it's become much bigger than just Chicago. Now it's called People of Play. So find it online, sign up, and check it out, because the greatest thing about the People of Play events is that they are very welcoming to inventors or designers who are outside of the industry looking to get in. They give them an opportunity to meet with industry executives and industry legends, and learn about processes and how toys are designed and marketed and licensed.
Well, definitely I will get that from you after we're done with the call, because it sounds like the opposite of what we said about the toy fair. So the toy fair is closed, but this is open.
Yes, this is very much true. That's why the People Play event, which is successful, because it allows people to come in who can't get through the door at Toy Fair. I mean, my entire life, my entire professional life at least, I've had friends and family begging me to get them into the Toy Fair. I'm like, I can't. And it's not because I don't want to. Like, they're so guarded,
Yeah. I'm sure. I was one of those in February asking for a pass, because I just felt like it's time to explore another world and see how art can be implemented in other areas and other
and the
fields.
toy industry is a great place to look at art. I mean, it's people, until you've walked a Toy Fair or truly been in some magnificent toy store, you fail to realize that toys are copies of just about everything in the adult world, right? So, and they're all stylized, and they're stylized to different degrees. You can get dolls that are porcelain, beautiful, that costs thousands of dollars for collectors, and then you can get a cheap plastic doll that's got giant eyes and long hair for combing. And then of course this game packaging artwork is probably at a zenith right now. It's if you go to Target or Walmart and you walk down those aisles and you look at what's being done on game packaging, it's magnificent. It's become like 30 years ago, it would just say it'd be a little quirky and say what the game does, and very formulaic. Now it's become sort of the way book jackets are done. It is some very sophisticated design going on.
And talking about those dolls and stuff, I recently looked at one for Halloween. It's made by Mattel, and it was I guess, limited edition Dia de los Muertos. So it's a Latin American looking doll with her face painted for the Day of the Dead, and it was selling for $400 second hand. Like, it was still in the box, but it was expensive.
Yeah, well, there's a big demand for that sort of stuff. I mean, actually, the horror toys do pretty darn well. Early on in my career, I helped launch a brand called Living Dead Dolls, and we worked on the first 6 series. We did the ideation, with the way the graphics, the form structures for the things, anything, any of the artwork. We didn't do the dolls themselves, but we did all the other artwork. Some of those dolls on eBay, $4,000, $5,000.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, we have quite a few of that stuff. I'm sitting on a lot of not adventure stuff, but like prototypes of things that are highly collectible. We've done, outside of doing Batman for Fisher Price and a bunch of board games and Barbie and whatnot. We also have done a lot of collectible stuff. So it worked on licenses like the Blues Brothers and Run DMC and Friday the 13th and all this different vinyl collectible stuff that sells for some top dollars, which is great. And on top of that, oftentimes I get to sit with those celebrities and work with them on the projects, which is always fun.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. And then they made these dolls to look like these art characters. They made a Frida Kahlo doll, which I like. I mean, my son learned about Frida Kahlo from this doll I bought him. And there was a Basquiat doll. I mean, it was a very strange doll, but because it was a woman, it was a female dressed
Oh,
like
was it
a
one of the Barbie
mascot.
ones? Like in the yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Mattel doll
yeah.
team is fantastic, and the current team is very progressive, and they're doing some really amazing things. And I'm friends with a bunch of them over there, and it's all very very intelligent, and they're pushing the barrier. But the great thing is that the toy
Right.
industry has also changed for the better in a lot of ways. When I was a kid, when people would tell me, in Japan, grown-ups read comic books and collect toys, and I was like, that sounds crazy. And we all thought the Japanese were sort of odd for doing that. Now it's commonplace for like some 45-year-old guy to have some action figures in his house, and know everything about Marvel, and then they're watching every Marvel movie. It's crazy.
Right, right. It's true. Yeah, I try not to feel strange if I'm interested in getting an adult doll, like the Frida Kahlo doll.
And those are beautiful dolls.
Yeah, they really are. Well, tell me what else is going on with you. I mean, we have a couple more minutes left. Is there anything else you're interested in outside of art that we didn't touch on? I mean, your biking,
Oh
for
yeah, well
example.
I don't stop doing that. Well, I actually slowed down a little bit because work's been a little through the roof. But I like to get on my bike and ride. This time of year, I switch from road biking to mountain biking because I love riding through the woods in the fall, and here in the Northeast with the leaves on the ground and the trees becoming bare and a little nip to the air is great. It's
Hmm.
my form of you know of zoning out and meditating. I can get totally lost in that for hours.
Absolutely. So you're pretty much in the countryside out there in Long Island near your
Yeah, well,
company.
we're not quite in the countryside. We're deep in the heart of suburbia, if anything. The company itself is located on the Gold Coast movie studio lot, which is actually the largest movie studio lot on the East Coast. Quite. It
Mm.
formerly was Grumman, the Grumman headquarters, where they built all the fighter jets during World War II and through the Cold War. So, and the facility that we're located in was used to build the Apollo, which landed on the moon.
Wow, I'll have to come and check it out one of these
Yeah,
days. It sounds super
they're right
interesting.
now HBO locked up the largest soundstage. So actually the largest soundstage in the lot is also the largest soundstage, unobstructed soundstage in the world. And the HBO just locked it up for, I believe, the next 7 years for a TV show that's called The Gilded Age. Yeah, I've seen the
Ah,
sets; they're
okay.
magnificent. But I can't. I'm apparently not allowed to talk more about it than that. But perhaps you can go on and find some details. But
Yes.
if you know anything about Gilded Age New York, you can only imagine how fancy these sets are.
Yes, I'm thinking of Zelda of and Scott
Hmm.
Fitzgerald and the movies they made about them and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're on Long Island, and the Great Gatsby took place here.
Absolutely. Yes, I forget that sometimes.
Yeah, there's still like remnants of all that stuff. There's parts of roads that the Vanderbilts had their private road. Isn't that crazy? They had a road from Manhattan all the way out, way into Suffolk County, Long Island. Their own road.
Wow. Wow. Well, I mean, right now I know some people who've been taking the opportunity to sell their places out there just because so many people from Manhattan have been moving
Hmm.
out there
Yes,
recently. So I don't know what the prices are like now, but I'm still happy to visit in the
yes,
summer.
yes. Well, you're was it Sag Harbor, or you've got you hang out there, right?
Yes, my son is especially, he just left about an hour ago. That's how I found the time to get you on the phone right now. But yes, he's in Sag Harbor almost every other
That's
weekend.
beautiful. Sag Harbor is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. It's very diverse as well historically, which is good for him being mixed race
Yeah,
as
there was
well.
something recently. Who published an article about that town? That's
I think
yeah,
the New York
yeah.
Times. Yeah, yeah.
So any other plans for the next couple of weeks for you? Anything on the horizon? How?
That's a very good question. Every day I haven't made any firm plans. I have a few things percolating, and I'm just waiting to see which one gels, because I realized that sometimes when I sit back and don't force things, the better result comes out for me. So I'm just putting a little fire under a couple of things, and I'm going to see which one actually lights up. Hopefully by November I'll know, because November is
Ah,
my birthday. So start of the new year.
a
Yes.
November's child. Yes, that's great.
Absolutely, yeah. February conceived. We call them in Trinidad
Ah,
carnival babies. 'Cause- yeah. Well, it was good catching up with you. I mean, if you don't have anything else to add, I will just sign off now, and I'll speak to
okay. Well,
you
thank you. I
another time.
appreciate the opportunity, and we'll have to find some time to get together soon.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all your wonderful
All right,
knowledge,
take
and
care.
I'll talk to you
Bye.
soon. Take care. Have a good evening. Bye. Hope you enjoyed this intimate discussion with Matt and myself. Matt is quite an interesting character. For me, it's always interesting to see how people mix their work life with their creative life, how they mix different types of creative areas in one life. And I hope this was informative as well. And we'll see you soon. Perhaps next week with another episode on the Bees and Honey podcast. Stay well.